Winner, winner, hot Nashville chicken dinner for Kyle Kirkwood. Chris Buescher and Kyle Busch go back-to-back in the Cup Series and SRX, and your local racing report. All that and more on the Flag to Flag podcast.
All right, episode 1, welcome. We've had some technical difficulties, but we've made it to episode 1. I think we're good. This is John Dirugeris, your host, and my co-host is Mr. Chad Barker. I almost said Miss Chad Barker.
Wow.
Sorry, didn't mean to.
Off to a great start.
Anyways, well, Mrs. Chad Barker, how are you?
Thanks, bud. Yeah, I'm good. You and me just had a fantastic, but yet hot, sweaty, wet, humid race weekend at the Music City Grand Prix for IndyCar. So yeah, our home Grand Prix. We're based out of Nashville, Tennessee, which is fantastic. Yeah, it was a long 3 days. It was a long 3 days.
Yes, it was. I mean, it was a good weekend though. I mean, a lot of great racing, a lot of different series showing out at the Music City Grand Prix, which is a great sign. Had a new series show up, the Toyota GR Cup, which is really actually fun. I was not really looking forward to seeing them because it's a bunch of Toyotas, but they were just as fast as some of those GT3 cars. So Chad, go through the weekend, starting with Stadium Super Trucks, all the way making our way to our conversation with IndyCar. What actually happened? Who won? Well, what's going on there?
All right, so something fun we like to do here at the Flag to Flag podcast is we like to cover all the forms of motorsports that are racing at this particular weekend. So with IndyCar, the support series for them, we had Stadium Super Trucks, American Trans Am, SRO GT America, Toyota GR Cup North America, as well as Indy Next. So here's what we got going on in Stadium Super Trucks. They had rounds 3 and 4 at the Music City Grand Prix. Round 3, we saw Max Gordon take home 3rd place, Miles Cheek take home 2nd, and Robert Strout take home the win. Round 4, we saw Matt Brabham take home 3rd, Gavin Harlan take home 2nd, and after a bad race in round 3, Robbie Gordon rebounds to take the win in round 4. For the American Trans Am Series, we saw Mafa Matos take home 3rd, Nathan Hearn take home 2nd, and Connor Zilich take home the win. For the SRO GT America Series, we had the SRO 3, basically the GT3 Series, and the GT4 Series both have their round 11 and round 12 races. SRO 3, round 11, we saw Memo Gidley come home 3rd, Jason Descalos come home 2nd, and Johnny O'Connell take home the win in round 11. SRO round 12, Memo Gidley came home 3rd again, but we had a 1st and 2nd place swap with Johnny O'Connell coming home 2nd and Jason Descalos coming home first. My bad. And the GT4 race for round 11, we saw Ross Choust come home 3rd, Jason Bell come home 2nd, and Rob Holland come home with the win in round 11. Round 12 for the GT4s. This time we saw a swap between 3rd and 2nd place with Jason Bell coming home in 3rd, Ross Choust coming home in 2nd, and Rob Holland taking home the win. The Toyota GR Cup was scheduled to go for 2 rounds, being their round 8 and round 9 series. However, round 8, or the first race, was canceled due to thunderstorms within the area, also a time restraint. It was getting pretty late for that race. But what was supposed to be round 9 ended up being round 8. Aiden Yoder came home 3rd, Spike Colbecker came home 2nd, and Tyler Gonzalez came home with the win. In the Indy Next Series, Jacob Abel came home with the 3rd place. Hunter McLaren came home 2nd, and Christian Rasmussen led flag to flag, no pun intended, in the Indy Next race to take home the win. So let's get on with IndyCar, the Music City Grand Prix, and let's talk about what happened before the race even started. Will Power almost didn't start the race.
Because of why, Chad? Why didn't he start the race?
So before I say this, I'm just gonna say professionals make mistakes. Okay, we're human, all right. But he forgot his earbuds. He couldn't find his earbuds, and it is a pretty funny situation. I don't blame him though. You know, it's like I say, mistakes do happen. It's part of it. And because of that, he almost didn't make it out of the pit lane. Like, they were coming off of the bridge as he was coming out of the pit lane. Therefore, the field was jumbled up, and they couldn't get all lined up correctly before the start of the race. So it actually took 2 attempts to start the race. And yeah, but the big story, there was really 2 big stories that came out of the Music City Grand Prix, which was the strategy, and this also plays into that, the longest green flag run with 65 green flag laps, the longest in Music City Grand Prix history. And that threw all sorts of things into the mix, which was fantastic. So let's talk about the strategy and why the strategy was the way that it was. Yeah. So what do you think about that, John?
I mean, it was, when it came to the practice sessions and qualifying sessions, it was wet. So obviously the cars were not tuned up precisely. I mean, they had a little bit of a dry session on Friday, but it was kind of all over the place. You can't really judge how good your car was, mainly because you're driving in what the conditions were on Sunday were very hot, very slick conditions out
A
there.
very
So
humid track.
Exactly. And you had shade coming in there. So it was a very interesting race from a pure strategy perspective, but also when it came to your overall race strategy and your tire strategy, it was one that was one purely in the race. So as I was expecting it to be a caution fest. The last 2 years, we've had 50% green flag laps and 50% yellow flags and yellow flag laps. And so when you have that, you expect to have to play into that strategy. But it was the complete opposite. Like you said, we had a 65 lap run, which played into a lot of people's hands. Speaking of, look at Pillow coming home in P3. Obviously, Kirkwood there. A lot of people on the right side of the strategy, but on the wrong side of the strategy was Colton Herta. Colton Herta was one of my picks to win. He was dominant last year, and he just got way behind early on and could never catch back up due to that long, really, I think, unexpected green flag run.
Well, yeah, and I do, and and I feel like, of course, the green flag run, which no one was expecting, and also, like I said, this is the longest green flag run. These guys don't have long green flag run experience at this racetrack because, like you said, It's been caution fests the past 2 races, as well as leading up to this event with the practice and the qualifying. I mean, final practice got canceled because everything had to be pushed back because the rain was so bad at Nashville. And so their tire data was very slim. But I feel like, because of the bad call by Herta, on the restart after David Malukas retired after his rear wing. This was really interesting. His rear wing fell off his car. It
just fell off.
It's racing. Anything can happen. Anything can happen in racing.
We watched it. I was literally watching him go down. I was like, well, okay, he didn't blow a tire. But the tire didn't cause the wing to fall off. And I was like, okay, maybe something blew up. And I was like, didn't really see anything. Literally just decided to fall off. And, let's talk about that really quick. He's lucky it fell off where it did. Because if he was in the middle of a corner and he lost all rear downforce, that car would have been gone. I mean, literally into the fence, gone, because he actually got saved, I think, where that rear wing came off. But, it was a very, not really a caution-filled race until really the end. So it was a good one, though.
Yeah. That was the first caution that came out. But however, on the restart, Colton Herta basically was a ping pong ball. Got knocked around between, I think it was like Willpower and other guys, just between the wall and cars, and so that really, I feel like that really affected his race as well. However, he might not have to worry about that next year because some big news came out this week before the races even started. I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday when the big news came out. The 2024 IndyCar Season Championship will be held in Nashville. However, a different track layout. The reason being for that is because where the main part of the course is right now is right in front of Nissan Stadium, and that's currently going to be being renovated. So what they're doing is basically flip-flopping the circuit to where the main part of the course is going to be on the other side of the river. So it is actually really interesting. So they're going to come down Korean Veterans Boulevard. They're going to take a right on First Avenue, a left down Broadway. That's gonna be fun to watch.
I'm gonna bring the guitar. So I'm ready.
And then they're gonna take another left down 4th Avenue, which will actually be the start-finish straight, and then another left back onto Korean Veterans Boulevard, and then they're basically gonna go over the bridge, do a U-turn, and come back.
Yeah. Let's talk about that really quick. I didn't mean to interrupt, but you kind of interrupt because think about the straight that it is now. They're turning it basically First Avenue. where I sat in Grandstand 4, they were topping out at 180.
Yeah,
They're almost extending that straight by almost 100%. They're almost doubling the length of that straightaway. I'm going to be kind of
yeah,
shocked if they don't have maybe a bus stop or something to slow down the cars, because we're talking about 200 plus. I mean, we may be talking 220, Chad. I mean,
yeah.
we're going to be going across, basically down. It's going to be a little bit of a downhill from the Music City Center up above to the Korean Vets, back downhill to a hairpin, essentially. I mean, they're going to top out at well over 200. I mean, do you think that's
Yeah.
a risk?
Well, here's the thing. I feel like it was a bit of a similar issue when this Grand Prix was first announced and we saw the layout of it. All right. Um, it was their big thing was the bridge. Which I kind of like the bridge. I like the bridge. Everyone likes the bridge. The drivers like the bridge. Everyone likes the bridge. But that was also one of the concerns because of how long the straight was. Now, I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's one of, if not the longest straight in the series. I could be wrong. I could very much
It,
be wrong.
I don't know the length of it, but it should be very close to one of the longest.
It's up there.
Yes.
It's up there. And to extend that, so it's I would not be surprised if we saw maybe a bus stop, like you said, a bus stop or, a chicane or something to really slow the cars down because I feel like with that we're on the line between excitement and safety. All right, which in safety always takes priority, but
I
it's
mean,
it's going to be different because and it's like I said, all these notes that these guys have been taking the past 2-3 years is out the window.
yeah, toss them.
The only notes they've got is for the straightaways along the bridge. That's all they've got, you know. But I feel like it's going to be really cool seeing those cars run down Broadway. And yeah, but getting back to what we were saying earlier, the longest green flag run in the race's history, and what that really caused, and that was two big things that caused. One was fuel saving strategy.
Oh, big
All
time.
right, I remember I watched the highlights of the race, and Alex Plow's engineer was basically saying, "Hey, like we're trying like save fuel, save fuel, save fuel. Don't use the clutch to save fuel, lift and coast more. It was stuff like that. But another big thing that a lot of people weren't expecting was the marble buildup.
Oh my
Basically, the little
gosh.
pieces of rubber on the outskirts, and we basically that really didn't come into effect until 10 laps to go when Linus Lundqvist, I'm pretty sure I butchered that name. Probably. Did I butcher that name? Probably. But
Uh,
basically,
Linus Lundqvist.
Lundqvist,
Linus Lundqvist. Yes.
Linus, yeah, who's filling in for the still injured Simon Pagenaud after a very nasty wreck at Mid Ohio. That was one of the scarier ones I had seen.
Oh my goodness.
But
Yes.
with 10 laps to go at turn 11, which is right where I was, right where I was at, which was very cool. A caution came out, which basically, and they went that green with 7 to go, and just, just like it has in years past, at turn 11, because here's the thing. They start the race on Korean Veterans Boulevard on the bridge. However, they restart the race back at the start-finish line, but they throw the green flag at, I think, turn 10 or turn 9.
Yes. It's
In
the
between turn
straightaway
10 and turn 9.
before. Yeah, it's the straightaway before
Yeah,
they go to the main straight, which I don't agree because that just the cars aren't wide
I'm with
enough
you on that
to
one.
go like and people are going to try to get position, but we've seen this before. Why not start on the bridge, which will separate the field? Turn nine's a better
Yeah,
turn. It's a more exciting turn. It's a little bit more high
that too.
speed. I mean, I don't know. It was weird. Yeah,
Another
go ahead.
another way we can do that. Another way is like make the restart. With I know on road course they don't necessarily have what's called a restart zone, but
Right.
there's I know with Formula One there's a line, and I feel like that line or area or wherever they decide to be the race should be right after turn 11.
Yeah.
Now that takes away from the excitement factor because three cars piled into each other and I forget who it was, but whoever was the bologna in that sandwich at turn 11 was actually able to keep going during the race,
Hmm.
which was really interesting, the Ross. But Rovenquist and Peterson were unable, and just like we talked about earlier, The reason those guys were doing it is they were trying to evolve what they thought was going to be a wreck from Mr. Colton Herta once again, who, yeah, it was just an off race. You
Bad
said
luck.
you bet on him,
It
which
was
I felt
bad.
bad for you for,
It
but
was
yeah,
bad. It was terrible because I knew when he started to get backed up and he was bouncing around like a marble and he had to go through the tires and I was like, that's it. Like he's gonna be so off
yeah,
because he locked up his right front in turn 9 like twice in a row. And at that point, you cannot run in these Indy cars with flat spots. You're just gonna lose
no,
so much time. So he had to come down pit road early, messed up his entire day. He made his way back up actually fairly well comparatively, but yeah, no, his day was ruined.
yeah. So I'm looking right now. Colton Herta after this race is currently sitting 10th in the points, and I'm gonna go ahead and guess that obviously didn't help him, but we went back green with 3 laps to go, and after that it was a pretty clean race. It was an exciting race. Scott McLaughlin was very much charging. He got the pole, but he was very much charging on Kyle Kirkwood, who came home with the win. Which, however, for my opinion, in the finishing order, the big story was what happened with third and fourth place. Third place we had Alex Palou, and fourth place we had Joseph Newgarden at his home Grand Prix, which extended his lead from 80 to 84 points, which, doesn't sound like that bad, being that, the winner of the IndyCar race gets 51 points. However, we've got 4 races left in the series, being the Indy Road Course, Gateway, Portland, and Laguna Seca. So, you and me have basically, we both agreed. Gateway, I don't want to say for sure, but Newgarden's got a good chance.
No,
All right,
yeah, it's an
he's
oval. It's an oval. He's won at every oval this year, so I mean, he has a good
Yeah,
chance to win. But
he's won at every oval this year. He won
yeah,
he won Texas, he won Indianapolis, which I was fortunate enough to be at, and he won both races at Iowa. So he was coming off a pretty good high coming into Nashville. And coming off a good high and there, but it felt like he was a little sluggish at first. I'm not gonna lie. It felt like he was a little sluggish at first during the race, but then he really came alive during after that caution. And yeah, so but yeah, let's look forward to Indianapolis. So what are your predictions for Indianapolis?
I mean, it's definitely
It's
one
on
of
a
those.
Saturday.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those tracks. I mean, you cannot count out Polo, and this
Yeah,
is going over. I mean, with as many races, I mean, 4 races to go. Something's
yeah,
seriously going to have to happen with Polo. Um, for him to not win this championship, he's going to have a bad day, like a really bad
yeah.
day.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I mean, I think it's going to be Pelo's going to be up there. I think he may secure his championship this upcoming weekend at the Indy Roads.
Yeah,
It's just it's hard to say. I would love to say. I mean, I'm a New Garden fan, but I would love to say he's going to bounce back. I mean, maybe if he gets a win at Gateway and has a little bit of luck, but with 84 points and with Pelo's ability to finish up in the front, really, no matter what,
yeah.
Pelo's too good. So I think Pelo could possibly win this weekend. What are your thoughts?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm with you on that. Alex Palou. He's shown great strengths at road courses. And he's basically got the upper hand coming into these last few races. All right, because we've got 4 races left. 1 oval, 3 road courses. So
Right.
if we're doing it off of previous stats, Alex Palou's got the upper hand. All right,
Yeah.
He's a threat at any road course, and Joseph Newgarden's a threat at any oval. And I think it's like you said. I feel like if we, in order to have a proper championship battle here, Alex Palou's going to have a really bad weekend this weekend at Indianapolis, and Joseph Newgarden's going to have to do good this weekend and next race at Gateway, which he's already it's a big contender. It's an oval,
Yeah.
so and he's always good there. And then Portland and Laguna Seca, I don't want to look too far ahead, but I feel like that's also going to be pretty interesting to see what happens.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean it's Pelo's championship to lose there for IndyCar. So we'll see what happens. We'll be covering obviously that Indy road course race this upcoming week on the Flag to Flag podcast. But let's talk about what happened in the SRX series. Starting off with Brad Kay. We have a lot of these NASCAR drivers that are coming in and doing very well. I think they said that current NASCAR drivers have won um, or at least NASCAR drivers have led the most laps, won the most heats, and have won the most SRX races. So they obviously are
Yeah.
catered to this. So Brad K won Heat 1, and then as we experienced this weekend in the Grand Prix, it just started raining again, which they
Yeah.
experienced the week before with some rain, or 2 weeks
Yeah, I
before,
think it was
instead
actually.
of week 1.
Yeah, I was about to say it was 2 weeks before. And piggybacking off what you said, we had Denny Hamlin winning the first race. We had Ryan Newman winning the second race. We had and then we have Kyle Busch going back to back at let's see at Motor Mile and at Berlin. And looking. Ryan Newman's got a pretty good points lead here. He's sitting at 146 points with Brad Keselowski right behind him at 113. And yeah, so I feel like that's really good. However, it's a pretty good battle going on for third right now for second right now, because Brad Keselowski's at 113, Marco Andretti's at 112. So that's fixing to be a good battle right there. But yeah, but I kind of want to go ahead and already look forward, because let's be honest about Berlin. All right, Kyle Busch, Ryan Newman started on pole. Ryan Newman started on pole for the second heat. Ryan Newman actually won Heat 2 and put him on pole for the main race.
Right.
But Brad Keselowski quickly took the lead. And just past halfway, Helio Castroneves took the lead back. And the hard part about it is, I feel like last year SRX got the nickname the WWE of racing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this race really didn't help them with that reputation, because what was happening at past the halfway point? What was happening basically every 5 to 10 laps?
Yeah.
A caution was coming out
a fun
to bunch them back up. Fun caution. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I can understand throwing a caution halfway through the race, like a competition caution. That's cool. But I lost count, but I'm pretty sure it was I want to say it was up to almost 5 cautions.
Yeah, it was
for
3
no
or
reason.
4. Yeah, it was 3 or 4, and
yeah, it was
to
up
bunch
there.
up the field, And I get they have the excitement, Thursday Night Thunder back on ESPN. It's that whole nostalgia behind it, but
Yeah.
I'm curious who makes those calls.
It
Obviously,
is interesting.
Tony Stewart's involved. Obviously, in the series, you have Ray Evernham. I don't know who's calling that, but I think there's a point where you have to let them race, and something's going to happen. I mean, because it was exciting when they were all bunched together, but I like seeing
But the
them all
same
bunched.
thing. Yeah, the same thing was happening at every single restart. All right, we had a great battle from second on back. All right, Kyle Busch would just hammer down and go. It was like he was launched out of a cannon every single restart. All right, and he's one of those drivers where, even in NASCAR, and we've seen him also in micro sprints on dirt, and once he figures a track out, he's gone. It's pretty hard to beat him. Whether that be in NASCAR trucks, Xfinity, Cup, SRX, dirt racing, it doesn't really matter.
It's Kyle Busch. He wins everywhere.
Yeah, but speaking of SRX and speaking of dirt, next race we've got at Eldora. And I'm gonna be pretty honest. I feel like this race really falls more into the favor of the NASCAR drivers, because a lot of them, they started their racing, and a lot of their early racing was on dirt. People like Kyle Busch. Well, actually not Kyle Busch. People like Kyle Larson. My bad. Tony Stewart. So I feel like a lot of that really falls on them. And and this is why I say SRX has, I'm pretty sure, 6 routes. Here's what we need. We need two asphalt ovals, 2 dirt races, and 2 road courses.
That'd be cool.
All right. The reason I'm saying road courses is because, let's be honest, Marco Andretti, Helio Castroneves, Tony Kanaan, these, they're not used to this style of racing, and I feel like that's not fair to them. Now, yes, the cars are all very much equal. That is very much fair, but a lot of these guys, they haven't even raced on dirt before until the SRX series.
Yeah, exactly. And then, when you think about who's going to be a part of Eldora, I don't know if you've seen the official entry list, but you have Ron Capps, who doesn't turn because he's a NHRA drag racing star.
Yeah.
So he's going to be a part of it. You're going to have Matt Kenseth, obviously NASCAR legend there. You're gonna have Austin Dillon coming over. You have Chase Briscoe
Also has
coming
dirt
over.
racing background.
And
Dirt
so
racing background.
those are gonna be good. But I think like for Ron Capps, obviously it's gonna be fun. But he's jumping into an SRX car, which are not difficult to drive, but they're very throttle heavy. You can lean on anybody you want.
Yes.
He doesn't get in any
Yes.
contact with any drivers, but then they throw him on the dirt. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how he performs, but I think this upcoming week could be a really good battle. You have Andretti, you have Deegan, you have Keselowski, Kenseth, Stewart,
Oh yeah.
Ronnie Dillon, Newman, Schrader, Briscoe, and Kanan. I do agree that it's a little bit of an unfair advantage to some drivers, but also the way that they try to level it out is because of the stock setup, essentially the fixed setup that they have in these cars, outside of some minor air pressure adjustments and things of that nature. So I think it'll be a good race tomorrow night, or I guess Thursday night rather, depending on when you're
Yeah.
listening to this. I'm excited for it because it is exciting bringing back Thursday Night Thunder. So
Yeah, and that was really one of their big selling points. And I feel like that also falls into what we were saying earlier about what is it? About the fun cautions, like ESPN is now filming racing other than Formula One, and they want to make it exciting. And I mean, I'm gonna be honest, there is such thing as a boring race, just like there is such thing as a boring baseball game, football game. I mean, it's not just part of racing, it's part of sports, all right? You have those races where a driver is continuously dominant at, and he's a threat to win.
yeah,
So I'm gonna be completely honest. I feel like I'm not 100% sure who the fill-in drivers are. I think, but my picks. I'm gonna go. It's either gonna be Chase Briscoe or Tony Stewart. One of the Stewart Haas guys.
oh yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be
Yeah,
Tony Stewart. I mean, that's literally his
he owns
track.
the racetrack.
It's his track. It's his series. Like,
Yeah,
how can he not win? I mean, but I would also look out for maybe a little bit of a splash of Ryan Newman. Obviously, he's good, but maybe Austin Dillon.
yeah,
Austin Dillon,
maybe
he's an aggressive guy. He wants to make his name known,
he
and
is.
he has nothing to lose. He's coming in here and just gonna race
Yeah,
for fun. So I think it could be a little bit of an upset, but I am 100% saying that Tony Stewart is
I
by
got you.
far my favorite for sure. So
I got you. Without a doubt, and I'm with you on that. Once again, as we did with IndyCar, we like to give a shout out to the other people who are also racing at these events. So, also at Berlin Speedway, they had their limited late model division race with Tyler Rasinga taking home the win in the number 4 machine. In second place, we had the 97 machine of Joseph Free, and Denny Anderson in the 18 coming home third. So let's move on to Formula One now. Formula One currently in their summer break. I think we have 3 more weeks until we get to Zandvoort.
yep. The Dutch Grand Prix is going to be on August 27th, at 8 a.m. Central Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Time in Zandvoort. So Max Verstappen's going to win. There you go. Just going to say it right there.
Yeah. Okay. There's your Formula One report. Yeah. I mean,
there's your Formula One report. It's like it is what it is. Like, he's having one of those years. He has the most wins consecutively by a manufacturer or team in history. I mean, he's doing what Hamilton has done,
he's
Schumacher's
yeah.
done. It's just one of those
Yeah.
years, and at this point, it's cool to see such a dominant season. Also, this is where the boring aspect get into it, but like, I'm not a Max fan by any means, but I gotta say it's pretty impressive.
It is, and we start to see, and we kind of saw it coming, because here's the thing, in everything there's an arc. We have the arc. Mercedes was up on that arc, and then they hit the crest. The crest was 2020, arguably one of the most dominant race cars we've ever seen, and then we start to see the descent in 2021.
Yep.
All right. Say what you want about 2021. Red Bull had the car. Red Bull was basically the car to beat. All right. Everyone likes to focus on Abu Dhabi. Max Verstappen had 10 wins that year. All right. No one has had double-digit wins in I'm not sure how many years before that. And then after that, what did we see? We saw the Mercedes arc go down. We saw the Red Bull arc go up. I mean, Max Verstappen's leading in points right now, 314 points. The only person in second place is Sergio Perez at 189 points.
It's not even like man. I mean, Max
It's not.
He just might as well just go home, and just send him the bus, and he'll be able to. I put a post out about this. Just call a mercy rule. I mean, I would have to run the numbers. I would have to run the numbers. But I mean, it would take weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to be able to have anybody even come even close to catching him, even if it's full points. So I mean, it's just one of those years for Formula One. But
the two big things we are. Oh, sorry. But the two big things the two big things we're seeing right now in Formula One is McLaren. McLaren came out of nowhere with some massive upgrades.
Massive upgrades. Got the orange on for McLaren, not really for Tennessee.
There you go. Got the Tennessee orange on. And the other big news, what's it called? What's his name? Nick DeVries. So apparently, this is what happened. Nick DeVries had a deal with Helmut Marko that he would give him till the summer break.
Right.
And then to prove. He got booted 2 races beforehand.
Yeah, I mean.
Now, do I feel like that's fair towards Nick DeVries? No. I feel like Helmut Marko should be a man of his word. Then again, I'm not Helmut Marko. I'm only looking at it from a spectator's perspective. Yeah. I'm not seeing the numbers. I'm not seeing the price tags on what this guy's spending. But coming into the mix was Daniel Ricciardo. All right? My favorite driver. I was really bummed out when he wasn't going to race this year, but hey, Logan Sargent racing, which, hey, an American racing in Formula One, I'm happy about.
There you go. 100%.
But Daniel Ricciardo before him, he was my favorite driver because he's just a fun-loving guy. He's like me. He's a fun-loving guy, and, that's who it is. And I was really bummed to hear, but now he's back. And the big question everyone is really talking about right now is what's going to happen in 2025? Because a lot of these driver contracts are up in 2024.
Right. Yep.
A lot of these driver contracts are up in 2024, one of which being Sergio Perez. Now, the big question is this. Is Daniel Ricciardo going to stay on for 2023 or for 2024? And are we going to see, if he stays on in 2024, is Sergio Perez going to be in a bit of a hot seat?
Yeah, that's the big question. I mean, obviously Sergio has his contract until 2024, but when you look at some of the other contracts in Formula One, a couple that are really interesting that Ricciardo could capitalize on Zhou Guan Yu, his contract ends this year. Yuki's contract, Albon's, Sargent's, Magnussen. Could we see, Ricciardo going to a Haas? Could be interesting there. Some other drivers have Ocon in 24, Gasly in 24, Alonso, Piastri, Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, George Russell. All these, big name drivers are going to be in. I'm not going to talk about Max. I'm not going to talk about Norris because Norris is 2025. Max is in perpetuity. I think Ricciardo has to showcase that he is a good the driver that he once was. Obviously, he is in a AlphaTauri right now, which is going to be in a completely different team next year. But comparatively, I think he just needs to do better than what Nick DeVries did. I'm looking at where Nick DeVries finished in every single race this year. I'm just going to run through some of these numbers really quick. Starting with Bahrain on the 3rd of March. So 14th, 20th, 18th, 14th, 12th, okay, but then 15th, 18th, 17th, and 17th. He had one DNF early on at Azerbaijan, only got 9 laps in. I mean, it wasn't good for Nick.
0 points.
Yeah, 0 points. I think Daniel has the possibility of getting points. I really do, with his expertise, with his drive, and with him knowing the Red Bull team as it is, because obviously AlphaTauri is Red Bull, a Red Bull team. So I think he has a good opportunity to showcase what he has. Is he going to be in a Red Bull as Sergio Perez's replacement? I don't think so. I think he goes somewhere else, starting in potentially 2024. Now, this is a big speculation, but obviously Lewis Hamilton. what's happening with him.
Yes.
Where's he going to go? I'm not saying that Ricciardo is going to jump from an AlphaTauri to a Mercedes, but could there
Yeah.
be something along the lines where he gets a spot, maybe at Haas? Look at Yuki
Well,
Tsunoda, look at Magnussen. You know, I think Gunther and Ricciardo would probably be one of the coolest tandems in the garage that Formula One has probably ever
that
seen.
would be.
So could he be at a
But let's
Haas?
look. But maybe. But let's look at. But let's look at going back to the Mercedes thing. He was with McLaren, he was with McLaren, who is a Mercedes customer team. So he has McLaren ties, not as much as he has with Red Bull,
Right.
but he has McLaren ties. He's got contacts, I guarantee it. So I don't want to completely say I don't think it's a very high chance because, Mercedes is trying to get back up there, and it's not working out well for them, and I feel like we're in a new era of Formula One, and Red Bull's got something going on. McLaren's looking like they've got something going on. And and we see some teams really shine through at times. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm more interested to see where Lewis Hamilton ends up because I'm pretty sure is his contract up at the end of this year or next year?
This year.
This year. So, well, let's be honest. He say what you want about Lewis Hamilton. He is the best driver ever in Formula One. But there is one thing, and I guarantee you this is haunting him. There's one number. He has the most wins, most podiums, I don't know about the most starts, but I mean it's got to be up there. But there's one thing he doesn't have, and he's tied with Michael Schumacher at 7 championships.
Oh, the pole. Oh, the championships rather. My bad. The championships. Yeah.
Yes, championships. And I guarantee you, like, for him to really be cemented as the greatest Formula One driver, to make it set in stone, he's got to get 8. And I feel like that's what he's hunting right now. I feel like that's what he's hunting, and I'm going to be completely honest with how it's looking. He's not going to do that in a Mercedes.
No. I mean, what would be interesting is imagine Lewis and Max on the same team. Imagine the battle that they would have if they were both Red Bull drivers. That I don't think will happen, but just imagine, you know,
It would be Hamilton and Rosberg in 2016.
Yeah.
It would be that all over again.
Yeah.
And let's not doubt the fact Lewis Hamilton knows how to drive a car.
Oh.
All right. There's things he says at times I disagree with, but that's besides the point. He knows how to drive a car. Give credit where credit's due, and I'm gonna be honest. Is he gonna show loyalty to Mercedes? Maybe. He also may fall back on McLaren, depending on how they do the remainder of the year. Because I don't know. But let's be honest right now. The only car, the fastest car on the grid besides Red Bull is McLaren right now.
Yeah, but if we're talking about contract situations, Lando Norris is locked in, and so is Piastri. And I know they're not going to get rid of Piastri just like that because of how he's been performing and how they've been performing. So their contract's not ending until 2025 for Norris and 2024 for Piastri. So, I think those two seats are locked up next year. I mean, I see Lewis sticking with Mercedes.
He can't. I don't know. The only thing I'm seeing right now, is him staying with Mercedes because his contract ends at the end of this year. And we got 2025, I think, for Norris. What'd you say for Piastri on his contract?
2024.
2024 for Piastri, Ocon and Gasly for Alpine, which is another Mercedes customer team, locked in until 2024.
Yeah.
So I feel like for him, the best option would to be stay with Mercedes or go outside of the Mercedes loop.
He could. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what he does, or he could hang it up.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, Lewis would definitely be the guy to say, "Hey, that's it. Hey, I'm done," and just.
And I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't blame him. I mean, with the career he's had, that is nothing to be ashamed of.
Right. Exactly.
The career he's had, that is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. He's a fantastic driver. Let's be honest. He's got other businesses going on. and so he's doing all right, and honestly, if I was him, if I genuinely felt like Mercedes was going to stay in the same place or go even further downhill and not coming
Yeah.
back up anytime soon, if I was him and I saw it and that's how I saw it, but you never know, Mercedes might have something in the works. All these teams always
Who
have
knows?
something in the
Yeah, yeah. Who
works.
knows what's going on behind the scenes? We don't know.
Yeah.
But that's what's fun about it. But one thing I do know is Formula One is selling 2023 U.S. Grand Prix tickets at Costco. So for a nice price of
I'm sorry, what?
$349, you can buy Formula One Circuit of the America tickets, 3-day grounds passes for $349 at Costco. So run to your nearest Costco and you'll find some Formula One tickets. That's my breaking news for Formula One. I have nothing else. That's all I got.
Are you serious?
Oh,
Costco.
yes,
I mean,
Costco, 100%.
I don't know what I don't know what I'm more surprised about with that. Either it's at Costco or tickets that are under 4 digits.
Oh yeah, I mean it's for one, yeah, one 3-day grounds pass. It also gets you into the admission of Friday the Killers concert and Saturday Queen and Adam Lambert, the night concert. It's a purchase is limited to 5 per Costco member, and provides an e-voucher that can be redeemed through email. So I'm not vouching to go get one, but it's what it is. Apparently, this says that it is a relatively good deal. It's $125 cheaper than the going rate of the Circuit America website, and the equivalent packages for Miami and Vegas both retail for north of $500. So if you want to
Way
go to a
north.
race, go to Coda, go to your nearest Costco, get a membership, and you're gonna get some tickets. So there you go.
There you go.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, so I think that's all we got for Formula One, and I think it's time for our local racing shout out of the week.
Hit it.
So another thing we like to do here at Flag to Flag Podcast is we like to celebrate y'all. We like to celebrate our listeners and the people who listen in on us. We thank y'all very for it, and the way we do that is by shouting out the local racers. So right now we are heading to Elma, Washington at Grays Harbor Raceway. They raced this past weekend in the IMC Modifieds division, the Super Stock division, and the Hornets division. Here's your top 3 from all of those divisions. Craig Moore came home 3rd in the M14 in the IMC Modifieds. Brian Lizzie came home in the number 17 and 2nd. And your winner, Austin Roglin, in the 18R in the IMCA Modifieds division. In the Super Stock division, Brandon Babcock in the number 99 came home 3rd. Daryl Brumfield came home 2nd in the 11. And with one of the best racing numbers I've ever seen, Austin Kerrigan came home with the win in the AK-47 car.
I love it. Hold on. Let's just take a moment and realize that is his number. I've never seen that before. Are you sure? Is that real? Is that accurate? Is that his number?
I get my information off of my race pass and race monitor, and that's his number. That's his number. So one thing about local racing, you can actually have letters in your number.
Right.
So if I go and rate, like my number is number 10, and if I ever go to a racetrack that someone else has number 10 and they've signed in before me, my number's 10B. So that is something really cool. In the Hornets division, Tyler Sunstorm in the number 23 came home 3rd. Riley Shapinski came home in the number 22 and 2nd. And Brandon Tyler in the number 18, picking up the win. If you would like your local racetrack to be shouted out on the Flag to Flag podcast, email flagtoflag10@gmail.com. Tell us what racetrack, and yeah, you might have a chance. Something really interesting, Flag to Flag will be on location at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway this weekend, and they will also be taking on our next podcast's local racing shout out. So if you want to go to the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, we'll be walking around the pits, and yeah, just gonna check out some great local racing. So let's move on to NASCAR now. We had the trucks had an off weekend, but at Michigan this weekend we had the ARCA Menard Series, the Xfinity Series, as well as the Cup Series.
Yeah, it was a good one.
So,
It was a good one. Go ahead. I'm gonna let the dog out
yeah.
of the office because he wants out. Hey, buddy. Okay.
Oh, yeah. You're good, man. So in the ARC Menard series, we had Connor Mozak come home third, Gus Dean come home second, and Jesse Love picking up the win. In the Xfinity series, stage one was won by Justin Allgaier, but stage two and the win went to John Hummer Nemechek. So, do we want to talk about the elephant in the room with NASCAR, or should we leave that on,
Go
or
go
should we
go
just dive
ahead.
right
Go
into
ahead.
it?
Dive into it really quick.
All right. So, on Friday before practice, Noah Gragson was indefinitely suspended from Legacy Motor Club, and it came out later today being August 8th, that um, he's done. He's got cut. He's terminated, and let's see here. Josh Berry took over for him, and Michigan. Going to be interesting to see who fills in for him in the rest of the week. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna make this very quick. I'm gonna be very blunt, very minimal with this. The reason he was definitely suspended and then later terminated from Legacy Motor Club was because he liked a tweet that was deemed to be insensitive or something along those lines. And the only thing I'm going to say about that is Noah Gragson is going to be your 2024 NASCAR Cup Series champion. So moving on from that,
Oh,
the highest candidate right now for Legacy Motor Club to take over the 43 in 2024 has to be
oh, yeah. John Hunter.
um, John
Gotta
Hunter
be.
Nemechek.
He's
John Hunter
he's
Nemechek. He's
so
he's been
good.
doing fantastic
Yeah.
things. Yeah,
So that'll be interesting to see. So in other news,
yeah.
in other NASCAR news, let's talk about the Michigan race really quick. Break that down. They raced on Sunday, got through about 70 laps, and it rained. So they started back up on Monday morning. And you could have told me that Chris Buescher was going to go back to back at the beginning of the season. I would have laughed in your face and be like, oh, yeah, he may not even finish in the top five in one race unless it's a short track. Buescher goes back to back and beats Martin Truex Jr., which had the fastest pace out of any driver in the entire race by far, which was incredible,
Yeah.
incredible.
So that really throws an interesting mix into the playoffs because going into this race, there were 4 races left and 4 spots left in the playoffs. With Chris Buescher's back-to-back wins, that makes it 3 races left and 4 spots, which means it is guaranteed that one driver is going to make it in on points. We have 3 races remaining. All, in my opinion, are wild card
Yeah,
races. We have the Indianapolis Road Course next weekend, sharing the weekend with IndyCar. We have Watkins Glen, and then we have right where we started the season, we're back in Daytona. Daytona, in my opinion, is the biggest wild card out of them all.
100%.
We have um, Shane Van Ginsburg. Pretty sure
Gisbergen,
that's his name.
Gisbergen.
Um, Ginsburgen. Um, for the Indy Road Course, and he won in Chicago, so that automatically makes him a pretty good contender coming into this. But the big news is half of the Hendrick team is in, and half the Hendrick team is not, and 3 out of the 4 drivers wrecked out during the
Yeah,
race
it
in
was it
Michigan.
was a bad day for Hendrick Motorsports. But
Yeah.
thankfully, Larson has the win. Byron has obviously a lot on the season. Not going to count how many he has because he's my favorite driver. Trying to be humble here, but he's one of the favorites. But going into this next race, you have the Indy Road Course. Let's talk about really quickly before we hop off. We have a lot of notable entries coming in. You have Jenson Button going to be driving the 15 for Rick Ware.
Obviously.
You are going to have Brody Kostecki, who is another V8 supercar driver, jumping into the 33 for Richard Childress. You're having, I believe it's going to be Mike Rockenfeller going to jump into the 42. Not confirmed yet, but they're trying to figure out that driver there. And then you have Andy Lally in the 51. Kamui Kobayashi, he is going to be jumping into number 67 for 2311. And then you have Josh Balicki in the 78 and Shane Van Gisbergen in the 91. So it's going to be a good race. I think one of those V8 supercar guys possibly Shane and Brody are going to mix it up again like they have. I mean, I don't know if you've seen any V8 Supercar highlights, but they are tearing it up over there, and they always are, around each other, at least for the highlights I've seen. So that'll be a good race to watch if you haven't already. Seeing a Indy road course race with all these new drivers coming in, and it's a good time to be in NASCAR because all these drivers want to come over and experience what they have to offer. So it's going to be a good season. Really quick, let's talk about kind of the elephant in the room. Chase Elliott needs to win. Can he win at Martins or at
He
Watkins Glen,
does.
and can he win at Indy Road Course? Yes or no? What do you think?
Well, Watkins Glen, he got his very first career NASCAR Cup Series
Right.
win at. So I feel like that is a very, very big prospect. But looking at the Indy Road Course, I also want to look at the other people who are just above and or just below the cut line. So, in my opinion, I feel like Kevin Harvick is going to be that last person to get in on points. I have a good feeling
Mm-hmm.
about. If he doesn't get a win, I feel like he'll be the one who gets in on points. Looking at Indy Road Course, only 24 points below the cut line right now is AJ Allmendinger.
Oh yeah, good point. Good point. AJ, he's won at Indy Road Course before.
He has. I don't know what number you were throwing up,
34.
but yeah.
34. Michael McDowell.
34. Michael McDowell? Okay. He's currently 3 points below the cut line. So he might be, if he has got a few good races, he might be a contender for that last point spot. The only race I really see him winning is Daytona being the wild card race, and who knows, we might see a Chase Briscoe, we might see a Ty Dillon, we might see a Todd Gilliland, Corey LaJoie, we might see something happen at Daytona. Something always happens at Daytona. It's Daytona. But yeah, I feel like Suarez, he's got to be up there, but I feel like for the Indy Road Course, I'm looking at the driver standings right now, and I've got to go with, you know what? I'm gonna go AJ Allmendinger. As my prediction for next
Safe
week.
bet. I like that.
I'm gonna throw a little bit of. It's he's not the best candidate in my opinion, but he's not the worst. Looking at Watkins Glen, I feel like Watkins Glen is probably the last chance we see Chase Elliott have a shot for the playoffs, and it'll be really interesting to see.
He is a good super speedway driver, though. I mean, he's won at Talladega. I believe, and so I think he could possibly squeak in, but Watkins Glen is the best chance he's got, 100%.
Yes. He is good at super speedways when he has super speedway luck.
Right. Big.
And someone, in my opinion, who does have a good bit of super speedway luck is currently 14th in the points, 58 points above the cut line, Bubba Wallace.
Yes.
I feel like Daytona is going to be his best chance at getting a win, at getting his security into the playoffs. But yeah, after Martinsville, we have Martin Truex, or not Martinsville. I saw Martin Truex on my notes.
Yeah.
After Michigan, we have Martin Truex leading both in the regular and playoff points. He's leading over Denny Hamlin in the regular season points by 57 points and leading over William Byron in the playoff points by 96 points. So I feel like I'm going to say that one more time. I feel like Indy Road Course is going to be, that one's going to be a pretty big wrench in the mix. I feel like it's going to be like that. I feel like Watkins Glen is a bit of a wild card too. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something out of Daniel Suarez, but I'm going to make a prediction right now. One of, if not both, of the two Hendrick drivers that are not currently in the playoffs, one of, if not both, are not making it into the playoffs.
Wow.
At this point, it is a bold prediction. Let's look at Alex Bowman. All right. In my personal opinion, the only thing I've ever seen out of Alex Bowman at a super speedway is 2018, his pole at Daytona 500. After that, I don't really see him on the radar at super speedways, nor do I see him on the radar at a road course. And I feel like if one of the two drivers, and I'm a Hendrick fan, this is coming from a Hendrick fan. I feel like if one of the two drivers aren't going to make the playoffs, it's going to be Alex Bowman. And the reason I say that is because I feel like Chase Elliott's got a good chance of making it into the playoffs. I mean, I say that he is 55 points below the cut line right now, and that is a lot of ground to make up. But I feel like with a good performance I feel like with a decent performance at the Indy Road Course, a good performance at Watkins Glen, and luck on his side at Daytona, I feel like he might be that last. There's a chance if it's not Kevin Harvick, it might be Chase Elliott taking that last point standing
Yeah,
spot.
I'm with you there. I think
If he
yeah,
doesn't get a
if
win.
he doesn't get a win, I mean, I think it's
No?
going to be possibly Chase. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got to really battle his way in and hopefully not get in anything. But you know, right now,
Yeah.
Truex and Byron are the top 2 point favorites right now to win it all. You have Larson in there. He's obviously in the mix to win another one. So it's going to be interesting to see how it folds out. My pick this weekend, I don't think it's going to be a Cup regular that wins at the Indy Road Course. I think it may be one of these other drivers that are going to come in and show what they have. It may be the other V8 Supercar driver, Brody Kostecki, coming in. It may be Shane going back to back, just because of how knowledgeable Shane is in this kind of racing, and he knows how to drive those cars, because basically what he drives now is it's a Camaro, and it's very similar. It's similar in some ways to how the Cup cars handle. So he's very experienced. So that's going to happen. I think I agree. One out of the two drivers of Hendrick is going to be in and going to be out. And I think it could possibly be Alex Bowman out, unless he has a good run at super speedways and wins. Yeah. So Chad,
you know, I feel like Alex Bowman's only. I feel like at this point, and I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I feel like Alex Bowman's only point at making it into the playoffs at this point is if he wins at Daytona.
I agree.
I mean, he's at the point where, because he's never on the radar in a road course race. All right, he's just not one of those guys, you know, and that's part of it, you know. Someone like Kevin Harvick, who grew up in go-karts, who started his career in road course racing and eventually made it into the oval track scene. You know, that's what he did. But then you have Chase Elliott, who has always been in the oval track scene, yet has a good road course knowledge, So I feel like Watkins Glen is the best chance for Chase Elliott. But I don't see both Hendrick drivers. I don't see both Hendrick drivers, if not any of them, making out the two and making it to the playoffs.
That's your bold prediction. That's your bold prediction. I think that's going to wrap up our first episode of the Flag to Flag podcast. So thank you, everybody, for tuning. If you listened this far or watched this far, we greatly appreciate it. We would love for you to follow us on Facebook and on TikTok at Flag to Flag Podcast. On Instagram, it's Flag to Flag _podcast. And on YouTube, it is Flag to Flag Podcast as well. So from your co-hosts, John and Chad, we have reached the checkered flag here on the Flag to Flag Podcast. Any sign-offs you want to say before we head off, Mr. Chad?
I guess the big thing is, if you guys want to hear any other forms of motorsports for us to cover, you know, I had someone suggest covering up Formula Drift, someone like that. Hit us up on any of our social media platforms. You know, we're very active on those. So yeah, if you guys want us to look at any other forms of motorsports, we have the SRX series ending here, and they only got 2 races left, so that spot's going to be open up, and we might just have that as a rotating series one. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and catch y'all next week.